It's funny how some wounds don't bleed right away. They just sit there, under the surface, until something forces them open. I'm 32. My brother's 45. We were really close once. When I was a teenager, he was the big brother who made me feel like I had someone in my corner. He gave me advice, took me to concerts, helped me learn to drive. But over the last 5 years, that closeness unraveled. And the worst part is, it wasn't just distance or life changes that drove a wedge between us. It was something far more damaging, something with lasting consequences. Let me take you back to when I moved out of state with my husband. We both got great job offers we couldn't turn down, so we packed up our lives and left. It was exciting, terrifying, but it felt like the right move. As I was organizing everything, changing my address, updating bills, I noticed something weird. I was still attached to a credit card account with my brother. One I hadn't thought about in years. I hadn't used it. I didn't even carry it anymore. But when I called the credit card company, they said my name was still on it. And get this, the balance was $5,400. When I asked my brother about it, he brushed it off. "Don't worry," he said. "I'll take care of it. You'll be able to remove your name once I pay it off." I trusted him. He was my brother. But here we are, 5 years later. And that card, the balance is now over $8,000. $1,000. And because my name is still attached to it, my once pristine 802 credit score has tanked. Last time I checked, it was down to 612. That's not a small drop. That's a financial gut punch. I work hard, pay my bills. I don't splurge. I've built my credit carefully over the years so I could buy a home, a car, build a future. And now, that future feels like it's getting ripped apart one late payment at a time. And the worst part, he had every opportunity to pay it off. Back in 2019, his wife passed away. It was heartbreaking, of course. I won't pretend it wasn't tragic. But she also left him $250,000 in inheritance. $250,000. He could have cleared the debt that year and set us both free from it. But he didn't. Instead, he kept using the card, making minimum payments. And then, around December of last year, he just stopped. That's when my credit score really started to tank. I got alerts saying my payments were past due. Collections were looming. I was blindsided. I reached out to him. Text, bills, nothing. Radio silence. When he finally did respond, months later, he told me he'd closed the account and made an agreement with the credit card company to make small payments. He said it was handled. But guess what? I checked my credit score again. And it dropped even more. It's not handled. Not even close. Now here's the kicker. 3 days ago he texted me. Not to apologize. Not to explain. He told me he's engaged. He's getting married again. To a woman I've never met. Never spoken to. I didn't even know he was dating anyone. And honestly, I didn't respond. Couldn't. I didn't say congratulations. I didn't send emojis or well wishes or anything. Because how can I celebrate someone who's actively destroying my financial life? And now my mom's involved. She's calling me out, saying I'm cold, selfish, and heartless. "That's your brother," she said. He finally found happiness after everything he's been through. But I want to scream. What about what I've been through? What about the credit alerts waking me up at night? What about the hours spent on hold with banks trying to fix something I didn't even do? What about the anxiety of knowing my financial reputation, something I spent over a decade building, is being dragged through the mud because he couldn't be responsible? Is that not worth considering? I'm being called the a-hole. Because I didn't say congrats fast enough? Well, I'm not doing that. Can't. Because it's not just about the money. It's about trust. It's about the way he handled it. Like it was no big deal. Like my name, my future, my peace of mind didn't matter. And I think deep down, that's the part that hurts the most. It's one thing to fall on hard times. I would have understood that. I would have helped. But this was negligence. Selfishness. Plain and simple. So no, I haven't congratulated him. And at this point, I don't know if I ever will. Sometimes we're asked to celebrate people who've hurt us, just because they're family. But being related doesn't mean you're entitled to someone's joy if you've stolen their peace. Family should be about mutual respect, protection, accountability. And if you can't have that, then maybe the real question isn't whether you're the a-hole. Maybe it's whether keeping quiet was the only thing left to protect yourself.
You ever hit your breaking point? I'm talking about that moment when all the polite smiles, the fake family dinners, the quiet nods just snap, and the only thing keeping you from physically dragging someone out of your home is the knowledge that you'd be arrested? That was me, standing in the middle of my living room, screaming at my 70-something father-in-law like my life depended on it. And maybe it did, because this wasn't just about a cooler or some words shouted in frustration. This was about 20 years of watching a man destroy everyone around him while pretending he was a victim. Let me take you back. I've been with my wife since 2008, known the family since 2004, so I've had plenty of time to see how the sausage is made. And let me tell you, it's moldy, rotten, and soaked in cheap liquor. My father-in-law, he's not your typical grumpy old man. He's narcissistic, manipulative, and violent when things don't go his way. Not physically violent, not lately anyway, but emotionally, verbally, psychologically. Oh, yeah, he's an artist, and the target of most of his abuse? His wife, my mother-in-law, she cooks for him, cleans up after him, pays the bills with her disability check, drives him to appointments because he refuses to get behind the wheel anymore. He lies in bed all day and screams, "I'm hungry," like a toddler, and expects her to jump. It's not just entitlement. It's a contempt he has for her, like she's some kind of disposable servant. The final straw? They were staying at our place. We invited them to visit because we're trying to help them get support, home health care, maybe even a case manager through the VA. My MIL's exhausted, and she wants help. She's ready to admit things are falling apart. But my FIL? He doesn't want change. He just wants control. That day, I was in the kitchen, half deaf from years of concerts and life in general, and even I could hear him barking orders at her from down the hall. "No, move that over there. No, not there. You're so F*** king stupid girl." That was it. I saw red. I stormed into the room. I didn't knock. I didn't ask. I just let loose. You do not talk to your wife like that in my house. I don't care how long you've been married. I don't care what excuses you think you have. You treat her like a person, like a human being. He tried to argue, saying, "It's none of your business." "It is my business," I said. "When I can hear you across the house, even I can hear it, then it's everyone's business." He tried to say, "We've been married for 50 years. We work it out our own way." "No," I said, "you don't." You bully her into silence. "Not in this house. My house, my rules." He tried to weasel out of it, claimed he didn't say anything wrong. So I pushed. "Did you, or did you not call her stupid?" He rambled, deflected. So I screamed over him, "Yes," or "No." Finally, he admitted it. I told him to apologize. He said he would talk to her in private. I said no, because I know what happens behind closed doors. I've seen it. That's when he called me a bitch. And that was the last line. I said, "If you want to play that game, fine. You want to be the kind of family that calls each other names? Great. Then you're a coward. AF*** king coward who hides behind insults because he can't take responsibility for the mess he's made." My wife came home at that point. She heard what was going on, and she started yelling too, because she was done being quiet. He called me a bitch for standing up to him, and she wasn't having it. We told my MIL, enough, no more enabling, no more he's just set in his ways, or he doesn't mean it. We sat her down and said, if she doesn't start taking steps to get home health care for him or some form of outside help, we were going to file for adult custodianship of both of them, not out of punishment, out of necessity. Their house is a hoarder zone. You can't even use the shower. They drink a full bottle of liquor a day, sometimes more. They skip meals because it dulls the booze. They forget their meds. Only MIL drives. Only MIL cleans. Only MIL pays the bills. It's not sustainable. It's not safe. And it's not love. I gave her a case plan with deadlines and options, and she agreed to it. She's following it. She wants things to change. She's just too overwhelmed to figure out how. And if she ever stops trying, if she gives up, then I will take control. And yes, I'll put them in separate homes if I have to. Because enabling someone's abuse just because they're old or loud or have been through a lot, that's not compassion. That's cowardice. I've seen what this man is capable of. I've watched him blame my wife for his DUI after driving 85 and a 25 trying to chase down their near-feral dog. I wasn't even there. And when I came back, my wife was having a panic attack. My MIO was staring into space like her soul had left her body. That night, he told me he'd strangle me in my sleep. Thought he was whispering. He wasn't. MIO and my wife threw him out of the house that night, with a blanket and a pillow locked in the truck bed. And now, months later, when he's in my home again, trying to humiliate her over a damn cooler? No, not on my watch. Sometimes love means standing up. Sometimes it means yelling louder than the bully, so he finally shuts up, and sometimes it means being ready to step in when no one else will. So, was I the a-hole for screaming at him for 30 minutes and threatening to take over? Maybe. But if being an a-hole means protecting my wife, my MIL, and my home, then hand me the crown, because I'll do it again tomorrow.
You know how sometimes something just gradually starts bothering you? It's not this huge red flag. It's not a crisis. It's just this slow, creeping thing that one day makes you stop and think, wait, when did this become normal? That's where I found myself recently, with my husband. We've been together for 15 years, married for 13, and honestly, he's a good man, kind, loyal, funny in that quiet kind of way. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing earth-shattering. Except now I find myself wondering if I'm being completely unreasonable, or if I've just hit a breaking point with something so small that it's hard to even talk about without sounding petty. So here goes. My husband adjusts himself in public, constantly, like multiple times an hour. I'm talking full-on reaching, rearranging, tugging, repositioning, out in the open, in stores, in line at the pharmacy, even just walking down the sidewalk. And not subtly either. Not a quick fix inside the pocket. No, this is blatant. Like there's no one else around. Now, for context, this isn't some weird itch or rash. It's not pervy. It's not even like he's trying to get attention. He's just genuinely readjusting himself. But he does it everywhere, and it's become impossible not to notice. And once you start noticing something like that, you can't unsee it. At first, I didn't say anything. I mean, we all have our habits, right? And I didn't want to embarrass him. But over time, I realized I was starting to feel uncomfortable. Not just because I was with him, but because of how it looked to other people. I've watched strangers glance at us with that awkward, did I just see that? Expression. And it makes me cringe. So I brought it up. Very gently. Hey, I said, if you need to adjust, would you mind turning toward me, or maybe stepping behind me, just so it's not so out in the open? And immediately, his whole vibe changed. He got defensive, upset, told me he has a right to adjust himself when he needs to, that it's a comfort thing, that he's not doing anything wrong. I let it go. I thought, okay, maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. But in the back of my mind, it kept bugging me. Not just the act itself, but how fast he got defensive over something so small. And here's the thing. I was raised in a house with 4 older brothers. My dad was around. Uncles, teachers, co-workers, you name it. And none of them ever openly adjusted themselves like that. At least not that I ever saw. So yeah, to me it feels unusual. Maybe even a little inappropriate. I brought it up a second time, this time with a few suggestions. Maybe it's your boxers. I offered. They're super loose. Maybe a different cut would help. I even thought about leaving out some gold bond powder, just in case it was a comfort thing. But again, he bristled. He told me he hates anything tight. That he can't stand snug underwear, snug jeans, even fitted shirts. So I dropped it. But I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's gotten worse in the last few years, too. He didn't used to do this when we were first together. I work from home, so I'm here most of the time. He's still working, mostly desk work with a group of guys, so maybe he's just gotten too comfortable? Maybe he doesn't even notice he's doing it anymore. But that doesn't change how it looks, or how it makes me feel when we do go out together. I'm a homebody, so we don't go out much. But when we do, I find myself hyper-aware, watching to see if he'll do it again, wondering if the person behind us saw, wondering if someone's going to think he's being creepy, because honestly, that's how it comes across if you don't know the context. And when I try to explain that it's not the adjusting that bothers me, it's the lack of discretion, he still doesn't seem to get it. I'm not trying to shame him. I'm really not. I get that people have bodies. I get that sometimes things shift and move and need to be rearranged. I'm not trying to pretend it's some shameful act. But it's still a social behavior. Like blowing your nose loudly at a restaurant. Or clipping your nails on the bus. It might be technically harmless, but that doesn't mean it's appropriate. And I guess that's where I'm stuck. Am I the a-hole for wanting my husband to have just a little self-awareness? Or am I overreacting to something harmless? Just because I was raised differently? Marriage is funny. You can be with someone for over a decade and still find yourself running into new boundaries, new discomforts, new conversations you never thought you'd have. Like, hey honey, can you stop adjusting your junk in public? And in the end, it's not about judgment. It's about respect. Not just for yourself, but for the people around you. For the people you love. So no, I don't think I'm the a-hole for asking. But maybe I need to find a better way to say it. A way that feels less like criticism and more like care. Because I'm not trying to fix his body. I'm trying to protect his dignity. And maybe a little bit of mine, too.
You ever have that feeling, like the floor's been crumbling under your feet for a long time, and you just didn't notice until you finally fell through? That's where I am. And I'm honestly asking myself if I'm the villain here for being done. So here's what happened. I'm 24. My boyfriend is 26. We've been together a long time, since I was 15 to be exact. That's 9 years. 9 years of learning how to put his needs before mine, because that's what I was taught love looked like. And one of those times, I let him talk me into buying a car in my name. It wasn't for me. It was for him. He didn't have the credit, so he needed mine. And I'll be honest, part of me hesitated. I knew better, but we had kids and 9 years of history, and he looked me in the eye and promised, I'll pay it off fast. You won't even have to worry about it. So I said yes. Looking back, that yes felt like the beginning of the end. At first, I thought it was working. He had the car. He was working. He started coming home with cash, sometimes a lot of it. But then I noticed something wasn't right. He'd disappear with the car. No explanation. No schedule. Just gone. And when I needed it, I had to ask permission. Like it wasn't even tied to my credit. Like it wasn't even mine to begin with. And he always had a reason. I need it for work. I won't be gone long. Why do you need it today anyway? It didn't matter how small the favor was. He made me feel inconvenient for needing something I was financially responsible for. And yeah, I started asking questions. Like, where is all this money going? Why does he act broke with me when he comes home with wads of cash? But every time I brought it up, he'd flip the script. Turn it around. I was being too controlling, too emotional, too suspicious. So I started keeping quiet. Again. Until yesterday. It was our son's first day of school. A big day, right? One of those days you remember as a parent. I asked my boyfriend, who was napping, if he was going to pick our son up, or if I should go. He grunted and said, "You go ahead." So I did. I took the car. I brought our younger son with me, too. We picked his brother up from school and stopped at the grocery store on the way back. Now, picture this. I've got 2 kids under 6 in a pack store, my toddler melting down over cookies, the baby throwing his shoes out of the cart. In the chaos, I dropped my phone. It landed on the car floor. I didn't even notice. I was in that store maybe 40 minutes. By the time I got back out to the car, my phone had dozens of missed calls. From him, from my mom, from my dad, texts, voicemails, panic. Why? Because I didn't answer my phone for 40 minutes, and he lost it. Never mind that they all have my location. My phone didn't move from the grocery store parking lot. Never mind that I was clearly with both our kids. But he still freaked out like I had run off with the car and vanished into thin air. When I got home, he didn't ask how the kids were. Didn't ask about school. He just stormed out and snatched the car keys out of my hand. Like I stole something from him. And the worst part, this is the same car he convinced me to finance. In my name, after he talked me into selling my own car a few months ago. You know, the one I owned outright. So now, not only do I not have my car, I also don't even have access to the one I'm paying for. And here's the kicker. He's 2 months behind on payments. He's just stopped paying. And since it's in my name, it's my credit that's on the line, not his. So now I'm sitting here, looking at the paperwork, asking myself a question I never thought I'd even have to consider. Would I be the a-hole for surrendering the car? For walking into the dealership and saying, "Take it. I'm done. I refuse to go down for someone who clearly doesn't care how this affects me or our kids." Because right now, that feels like my only move. I don't want to fight. I don't want revenge. I just want peace. I want to be able to pick my kids up from school and buy groceries without being accused of stealing my own car. I want to stop being the only one thinking long term. He took the car, took my credit, took my independence. And when I asked for basic respect, he gave me silence. So no, I'm not sure I'm the bad guy here. And maybe giving up this car would be the first step to getting myself back. Even if it means starting from scratch. Closing thoughts, narrator voice. Sometimes, it's not the big betrayals that break you. It's the little ways someone shows you, over and over, that they'll choose themselves, even when it costs you everything. You don't have to wait for permission to protect yourself. And walking away doesn't make you the villain. Sometimes it makes you finally free.